Hello and welcome to Today at Dunamis. It is so good to see you once again here live on the show. And of course we have Shaun. How you doing, Shaun?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. We had a great episode last week, didn't we?
Yes, and I was talking to Brett just before the show.
Yes.
And he was saying about how he's had quite a few comments from people who are listening and everything else. So that's encouraging. So it's early polling right now. And, I want 50. I'm praying, hoping he comes through. But we're a democracy. We'll see what happens. So he's out there. In fact, we are actually going to do one of the polling stations. You and me, Ed, we've done this a couple of times now.
Yes.
We've stood out in the state elections, and we're going out there on the local government.
Local government, yes.
We'll be on the shift from 8 a.m. till 10 a.m., the first shift. I prefer to be in the morning and get it done.
Well, hopefully no one comes and like, oh, that's when Shaun and Ed are going to be there. I'm going to give them a piece of mind.
They don't know where we are.
Oh, that's true. We
I didn't tell them we're down at Eagleby. But anyhow, so we'll be doing that together. Ed and I always find politics interesting, don't we?
Yes, I love it. It's entertaining in a whole different way.
Whether it be Australian politics, whether it be American politics, whether it be state, local, federal, we love it.
Anything,
anything, that area there, because it's our democracy. It's our right.
Ideas.
But the most exciting elections are...
A USA election, Shaun.
The USA elections.
Yeah, Super Tuesday this week.
I'm sort of kind of glad I'm not there in the midst of it. I was talking to my friend Eddie Mayastis. He's in California.
Oh, he's still friends with you, Shaun. Very good.
He is very good friends. He actually reshared something I wrote yesterday.
Oh, wow. Very good.
But I was talking to him yesterday for a little while. I was with the dog walking, so I thought I'd talk to him because of time zone differences. Yep. And I said, what's it like in California? Because it was like Super Tuesday. I was talking to him on Wednesday, which is Tuesday over there.
Yes.
He says it can be scary.
Yeah.
Because people are getting so angry, violent, and which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
So it's certainly interesting. But we know that the American ex-president wanting to be president for a second term just swept the Super Tuesday.
Yeah.
Swept the Super Tuesday. So he did really well. In fact, President Biden swept all except for one territory.
Yeah, one territory,
Samoa. America Samoa voted against him. Okay? Like that's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think so. But the fact of the matter is that it came in. So Nikki Haley was sort of like that persistent person who would not give up.
Yeah.
Gave her pause speech. He suspended her, what do you call it, run?
Her run,
which means she's given up.
Run,
And so I thought we'd play her recording and just her words, which are quite interesting.
Yes, very interesting. And here we go.
But the time has now come to suspend my campaign. I said I wanted Americans to have their voices heard. I have done that. I have no regrets. And although I will no longer be a candidate, I will not stop using my voice for the things I believe in. I sought the honor of being your president. But in our great country, being a private citizen is privilege enough in itself. And that's a privilege I very much look forward to enjoying. In all likelihood, Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee when our party convention meets in July. I congratulate him and wish him well. I wish anyone well who would be America's president. Our country is too precious to let our differences divide us. I have always been a conservative Republican and always supported the Republican nominee. But on this question, as she did on so many others, Margaret Thatcher provided some good advice when she said, quote, "Never just follow the crowd. Always make up your own mind." It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him. And I hope he does that.
There you go. She's tricky because if you know much about Nikki Haley, who I think is a very intelligent woman, except I think she got real bad advice.
Yeah.
Run against Trump.
Yeah, what would you do?
I mean, Trump's aggressive. There's no sound. Like, if they had smart advisors, which obviously they don't, because the proof's in the pudding, they would have said, wait until Trump has done his run.
Yeah, wait.
Then go for it.
Yep.
Like the Senator Cruz in Texas. Well, when he ran against Trump, Cruz won all the nominations in Texas and Oklahoma. But he didn't dare run again because he knows that Trump gets a bit vicious.
Yep.
So I think he will wait.
Yeah, wait,
for his
please.
turn.
Yeah.
But Nikki Haley said a couple of things. She says, "I've always been a conservative Republican."
Yes.
Does that mean you're not going to be?
Yes.
I've always supported the nominee, but this
Yes.
time she didn't support the nominee because the word is out that she might run as an independent.
Independent, wow.
But I think she won't hurt the Republicans as much as she might hurt the Democrats because a lot of the Democrats and others and the, non-party members will be pulled towards who Biden has gotten. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So American politics is interesting, but it looks like it's going to be Biden against Trump.
Yeah.
Biden against Trump, which will be interesting.
Yes.
And wouldn't it be interesting if he wins because they can only do 2 terms. Each term is 4 years.
Yes.
And what's unique about Trump, it would mean that he won a term, lost, and then won another term.
Yeah, won another term.
So they normally say with an American president, when they win the first term, they hold back because they've got to be reelected. But when they win the second term, it's gloves off. They do what they want.
Do what they want, yeah.
So the question that we need to ask is...
Well, I was going to say, if let's say Trump wins, who's after Trump, Sean? What do you reckon? Who's after?
Let's say Trump wins.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have any idea who you think would become the Republican person?
Oh man, I don't know. It's just Trump's been such a force to be reckoned with. It feels like everyone's just like, oh, I might just wait. So no one's really standing up other than that. I forget his name. Who was in that Republican debate? There was that one guy.
DeSantis?
No, not DeSantis. I forget his name.
Do you know who I think will be pushed forward?
Who do you think, Sean?
Donald Trump Jr.
Oh, Donald Trump
Because
Jr.
Donald Trump wants a legacy. All these guys want a legacy. The Bushes want a
That's
legacy. The Kennedys want a legacy.
Yep.
I reckon, I'm not saying they'll win, but just mark my word. I predicted Jeb Bush would run, and he did. Okay?
True.
I predict that he is grooming another generation, which will be Donald Trump Jr. He's with that lady. He's been Fox News and all the areas there. You watch because he's aggressive.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump, when he was president, he had to resign from his corporation, and Donald Trump Jr. did it.
Yep.
And then if Donald Trump Jr. goes, he has to resign, and Donald Trump Sr. takes it because there are lucrative deals that they get during the times. I just mark my words. I just don't think Donald Trump would surrender a legacy. Now, the question is, if Biden loses,
Yes.
who would the Democrats want?
Michelle Obama.
Yeah, Michelle, not Michael Obama, Michelle Obama. I honestly believe, now, I am not a Democrat in my thinking, but I'd have to think that she would be the best bet.
Oh, yeah.
Her ethnicity, her gender. The last name. That's like a roll.
Yeah.
I'm going to look to see in the midterm elections, which would be 2026.
Yeah.
If she doesn't nominate for a senator position or something, a Senate position. So that's what I'll be looking at to see, because I really think that that would be it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you who I don't think would become a Democratic president.
Who do you reckon, Sean?
Prince Harry's wife.
What the?
Yeah, she wanted to be American president. She met with the Democratic election committee. Yeah, she.
Wow. Okay, that was so left field. I wasn't even expecting that.
No, she was making inquiries before.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it'll be good. So the Australian politics seems very minimal, but I was asking a political person, what would Australia be nervous about if Donald Trump became president again?
Yeah, what do you reckon, Sean? What do you think? It can't be too bad, right?
Well, what's his theme on his hat?
Oh, yeah, Make America Great Again.
So he's a nationalist.
Yeah.
So he puts his nation first.
Yes.
So everybody predicted that when he was president, there'd be war, but there was no war. There was more peace. With Korea, North Korean, he met him twice. Putin, he dealt with everything.
Yep.
Whereas he'd be saying, I'm not interested in Ukraine. Russia, you want it, just take it. Okay? I'm not interested in Taiwan. I don't want a war. I think that he's interested in national. So remember when he was president and Australia was trading iron ore.
Yes.
And Donald Trump was cutting all his contracts saying, what benefit is it? And it was Morrison who said to President Trump, you make more money out of the deal than we do. And he goes, oh, well, in that case, great deal. I can remember that. So he is a nationalist. Now, I'm not saying a nationalist is wrong. If it's your country, it's good. If it's not your country, you're scared of trade because he's always going to look at it saying, what do we benefit with? So we will see. That'll be the biggest threat to Australia. Would China then feel like it has an open run for Taiwan, that America doesn't want to waste its money? I don't know. Trump says he can fix things up in 24 hours.
Fix it in Ukraine too,
What do you do with Ukraine? Does he let it go?
Yeah.
Or does he put him? See, this is the thing. I know what he says is that he'll say that there's so many not United Nations, so many in the NATO who don't contribute. France, Germany,
Greece.
So he'll be saying, Greece is broke. Okay, so but the other ones. So he'd say, you put your money in to deal with it because you don't pay. So that's why the big fallout was. And I agree with them in that sense. They should be because America is the one that covers it. But that's why it's going to be very interesting. That's why American politics is interesting. Purely there. Well, I have a wonderful guest with us today, good friend.
Yes.
Love him dear, Pastor Peter Hartley. So good to have you. Big round of applause. And the crowd has erupted. Thank you.
Calm down.
Why is it that all my guests get a huge applause and I get the cricket?
This is what you get. This is what you get. Normally when we introduce you. Yeah, kind of.
That's all I get. I get the cricket. And what does Peter get?
He gets a round of applause. Yeah, it's great, eh?
Well, thank you for having me. It's good to be here. So, I'll sign autographs afterwards.
Yeah. Do you feel warm and fuzzy?
Oh, totally warm and fuzzy.
So Pastor Peter is the pastor at Yarrabilba, right? Dunamis Yarrabilba Dunamis. Right? And you have a big Easter show coming up, presentation, don't you?
Yeah, we have our big Easterville.
Yeah,
nice.
So
I like that, Easterville.
Yeah.
Yes, sounds great. So tell me about Easterville.
So we've been running it for, what's it been, 3 years now, just in one of the local parks, just doing different events and trying to get involved certain businesses that we have relationships with to do tents and to do things. So there's always face painting and a couple of businesses do different things. Our dentist has he draws up quite a bit of business. He does a lolly ring toss.
A dentist doing
lollies.
You know, he's only interested in future business.
Right.
That's what it is.
Because afterwards he hands out toothbrush and toothpaste. So it's pretty clever, actually.
He says, in this game, there's a cavity. Okay, so it comes along there. All right.
Yeah, your jokes haven't changed one bit, have they?
No, but at least they get something happening rather than the cricket. Okay,
Yeah.
What the man has to do.
No, it's a good event. I think last year we had roughly about 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I like the carrot throwing competition.
So that's our annual thing. So we do a carrot throw.
Oh my
We had to work out something for the men because most of the time the men get dragged along to these events and nothing for them. So we come up with this concept of a carrot throw. You throw a carrot as far as you can and we measure it and we have a perpetual trophy. And last year there was a $50 gift voucher that went for the winner, and I think our record is something like 89 metres.
Oh my goodness.
So we buy like 60 kilos of carrot and you get to choose
Could I bring my own carrot? I'd go to the pet produce and get those big horse carrots.
Well, that's the carrots we buy.
Oh, you buy the big horse
We
carrots?
buy what they call the juicing carrot.
The juicing
big
carrot.
carrots. But it's actually surprising which ones fly the furthest. So, but we get a lineup. So we get kids and mums and all the dads. Some of the dads get pretty serious. They warm up and stuff. So
how do you warm up with a carrot?
I don't know. Some of them train as well. It's a big thing these days.
What are these carrots doing everywhere?
We get return business. A lot of people keep coming back to try and to bolster the record, and so we measure it. It's all legit. We said one day we should get Guinness World Records.
Yeah, I was going to say, get Guinness.
I reckon the carrot throw should be sponsored by OPSM. You know, the glasses specialist. Because carrots are good for your eye. It took Ed a little while to catch on
We
that
tried to
one,
get Bugs Bunny, but he was busy. So
do you have a day? I one of my pajamas.
That's right.
I never know. Okay, great show marks. But anyhow,
so that happens on the Easter Saturday.
Yeah,
nice. It's in Yarrabilba, what we call McKinnon Park. You can't miss it. It's got the red rings.
Yep.
So we're hoping a little bit more people come as it gets known. But we've got the police turning up and the fireys turning up.
What do the police do? Arrest people?
Arrest people. No, it's
arresting development. Okay,
trying to bring our community together, really. So the police have a presence, and we want
the police have presence.
Oh, well, not for people. No.
Okay.
A presence, right? Yeah,
so, do they do anything? No, I'm just asking. Well, they have the boys, the YMCA. I don't know if they do something. You know
no, so we're trying to get them to connect with the community.
Yeah.
Awareness. Yeah. Sometimes people have fears of obviously the police.
Yeah, I think I'm one of them. Okay. You know what I'd advise them to do? Have a recruitment table, because there's so many police leaving, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like recruitment.
Yeah.
One of our young men is soon to be a fully qualified police officer.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
very proud of him, Jack.
Yep.
So very proud of Jack. He's about to be a
Constable?
I think May he
Yeah,
finishes,
May, he's
so
gone
he'll
up
be
to
fully
Cairns or something,
qualified,
yeah.
done all his basics. So
Yeah.
heading up north.
Oh, good.
You should have told him should have gone to Yarra Bilbo. You know, it comes up there. Do you actually have a police? Where's the nearest police station?
Logan Village.
Logan. Is it manned?
It is manned, but not 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, that's like over here where I live on Bryant's Road. I don't live on Bryant's Road, but on Bryant's Road. It's only open office hours. So, I think
the
all
only
crime
one-
must happen in office hours. Could you please tell the criminal?
From 9 to
it's
4.
9 to 4 or 9 to 5. That's it.
9 to 5.
The
Yeah.
closest one is the Beanley Watch House.
I think the Beanley is what does all of
Yeah.
us. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Oh my
So it comes
goodness.
across.
So I
as-
think it takes them 15, 20 minutes to come out to Yarraville with this major rollers.
if
So, yeah.
they come.
Yeah.
Okay. If they
What,
come.
what are we talking about? What is
Well,
it?
I'm
What
just
is
asking:
this?
is crime as in Yarra Bilbo prevalent, or is it more just in these other suburbs, like around where I am?
Look, so we have crime, but we also have social media. So it's more publicised. Something
Okay.
happens, everyone jumps up on Facebook.
They all block the road, so they can't get out. You know, what I mean?
Well-
There's only one road in,
One road in, one road out.
We had that situation about, what was it?
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so we had an accident that happened,
Yeah.
and then because they closed off one of the roads out, there was another 2 accidents that happened on the other way out. So people were stuck. So people literally had to turn around and go home. I think it took everyone like 4 hours to get out of Yarra Bilbo.
I bet
Oh
you
my
McDonald's was busy.
Oh, I bet they were too.
Yeah, wow.
No, that does
Wow.
happen, right?
Yeah.
Does happen. So the police have got a presence there,
Yep.
and the firefighters.
Yeah, we get the fireys out.
Your dad used to be one of the head firefighters.
Yeah, so he was Chief Commissioner of the Queensland
Oh,
Fire
wow.
Service at one stage.
That's pretty good.
That's
Did you
awesome.
ever get to play in the fire truck?
We did. So we
Did you
got
ever
to,
do the alarm?
I won't tell you certain things.
Okay.
No, so when we used to go pick him up from shift,
Yeah.
he was based at Kent Place at one stage, which is a major police station at where,
You had that big tower. you used to do practice
Fortitude
running
Valley.
up, yeah.
So we go and play on the fire trucks and play with the helmets and whatever else. So, yeah.
It would have been fun.
Yeah. Had its merit.
Did they have alarms then, or your day was with bells?
No, they had alarms.
Okay, my days were bells, mate. No, they were alarms. They were alarms. Yeah, that would have been fun. Though, as a young fella. So, what did
Absolutely.
they come with a fire truck?
Yeah, so they're going to bring their fire truck.
Yeah,
Nice.
And the police are going to, well, depending on what they police do, they have an ATV, like an off-road buggy. So sometimes they might bring that.
oh yes.
Um,
You know what they should do? I reckon that all the police, if I was in charge of police, which would never happen, I would buy a couple of like Camaros or whatever else, because they have them in America, and do them all up for
Yeah.
highway patrol and have them
have
on
the-
display at certain times. You know what I mean?
The souped up cars.
Do you remember when they used to have, we called the Red Baron, used to be up and down the highway. It was a Ford
Oh, yeah.
sports one or a Holden
Yeah.
SS kind of. We used to call it the Red Baron.
Yeah.
It was always up and down. Then there's a blue one.
Yeah.
And they should have that would be great for public relations. But, you know, having a golf buggy, I don't know if a golf buggy
no, it's not a
would.
golf buggy, it's an ATV, so full off-road vehicle. One of those,
With lights on it?
one of those Can-Ams.
Okay. And have
Yeah.
lights on it?
Yeah, they have lights on it, and yeah. So
They probably would use it in that area.
well, we have there's a few different areas that they could use it. So
Yeah, because there's some dirt trails back over
yeah,
there.
there are
you
some
know what I mean?
dirt
So
trails. Yeah,
it comes in.
Oh.
we have plenty of motorbikes that drive through. Right
I have
through
to
those.
wonder why we can't register those things.
What, ATVs?
Yeah, you can't register them.
Oh, you can't
You can
register.
register a golf buggy,
Yeah.
but you can't register an ATV unless
Can't do
you're
an ATV.
police.
Oh.
I'd love to have one of those.
Yeah, that'd be fun and
just
also
to
dangerous.
drive, not to drive the road, but just to get to because the national parks are going to be registered. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's why. Like Fraser Island, I'd love to drive one of those Fraser Island.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But you can't because it's national parks. You have to have a licensed registered vehicle,
Oh.
which means I could drive the golf buggy but get stuck awful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll
okay.
get bogged down.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So you got fire services. You have the police.
Yeah,
Hospital.
trying to get the army to turn up.
Oh, that would be fun.
3 different contacts that I
Yeah.
have.
You do have contacts there.
Yes,
He knows
So-
a guy. He knows a guy who knows a guy.
Get him
No,
to bring
I know
the
a guy.
dogs.
You know
Bring
a
the
guy.
dogs. Bring a tank.
Well, no,
That'd be awesome.
so the
Bring-
dogs are up in Darwin, so they're not even.
Okay, that's
Ah.
so
What happens if they need a dog down here?
they ship them down.
Okay. So What sort of vehicle would you ask in the ring?
I'm hoping they bring a Bushmaster at least.
Yeah, Bushmaster
that
would be great.
cool.
Yeah, they got Bushmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. Well, they got stuff out there at Canungra too. So
Yeah, well, Canungra is quite a big barracks, so yeah.
yeah. So that would be great.
And there's one at Greenbank as well.
They should all have sign-up tables.
Well,
Why is it that the fire brigade has the strictest area for joining compared to police and the army?
I think isn't it like the amount of stress and danger that's the most hardest?
Nah, I think it's the fire brigade is the most friendliest of them all. I don't know, because you got to be 21 to be a firefighter,
Oh, really? You have to be 21.
but you can be 18 in either of the other forces.
Yeah, I guess running into a burning building affects people differently. I don't know.
Well,
I've
your
never
father
done it.
was one of the head firefighters, so how much stress did he have in this?
in his role, quite a bit.
Yep.
But even when he was a fiery back in the day, there was lots of different things.
Yeah, that's what I was relating to
yeah.
more so when he's hands-on, because we lost some firefighters, like even at Slacks Creek, from a fire and all the different things that...
It's a high-risk job.
It is a high-risk
maybe
job.
Maybe that's it.
It is a very
It's
high-risk
a high-risk job.
And you'd be amazed how much they got to have strength, because those hoses, they have these huge towers where they've got to pull the hoses up, what they used to, and these bags to pull out like through a body, weight of a body to bring it out. So there's a lot of strength used in the air. I think it's underrated.
It is, yeah, I agree.
But if I had to pick one of those three,
yes,
which I'm not, I would pick firefighter to be. Peter, if you had to pick one of those three, I already know he'd say army.
He'd say army?
I can look in his face, it's
don't know.
army. You know what I mean? He'd want to be a sniper or something. I can just see it. You know what I mean? So, all right, Peter, if you had to pick one of those three, you had to be in it, which would it be?
Wait, which one is it? Police, fire,
Fighter or
ambulance,
army?
Those three.
Not you got any paramedics out there?
Well, we tried to, but they're so
busy
busy.
because there's not enough
couldn't get 'em.
ambulances, so
Yeah.
we can't bring one out. Man, we
one's
don't have
free.
enough to answer calls.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's the problem. So we did try. We tried at our
Well,
local
that
station.
to me would be an authentic. I think the police will always be available.
Yes.
No. So
Really? Because I
it-
never see them come out. Okay,
So
unless
because
the
it falls
areas-
on a public holiday, our problem is because our Easterville falls on a public holiday,
Yeah.
they actually have to get someone who sort of wants to be on.
Nobody
So
wants to
they're
be
going
on.
to
wants to be on.
strip back
So let's
staff.
pray that somebody from that area gets saved in your church, so you better
Well,
draw them.
yeah, we're hoping at least build some connections and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So going back to the question, firefighter,
Here we go.
police officer, or army?
Oh, look, it'd probably have to be the army, I suppose.
No, I told you. Yeah. I told you. Did you know that our armed forces are so small, if you add all the areas, Air Force and everything else, that the New York police is bigger
Yeah.
in numbers. The New York police, not New York State, but just the New York City police is bigger
NYPD, yeah.
in personnel than the entire armed
Armed
forces.
forces, yeah. It's true.
I was talking to Josh Barclay when he was here.
Yes.
And I was talking about that nuclear AUKUS deal. If he'd heard about it, he goes, no. And I said, I was
What?
with submarines. And he says, oh, I understand that your submarine fleet's one of the biggest and strongest. I go, dude,
What?
let's just leave the subject because that's
Collins
just not
class.
true.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Collins class diesel says, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's pray nothing ever happens. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's pretty tragic.
I don't even
Yeah.
know if that August deal will actually eventuate.
Well, I'm holding on to the fact. Truffle comes in, I think it will, because he originally did the deal.
Oh, they're
with
having
me.
trouble keeping the Virginia class actually in the water.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. But I know we had several of our guys graduate.
Yeah.
So let's
The
see.
desire is there to get them in, but yeah, I mean, at the moment, from what I understand, their US is lacking in the skills to actually keep the Virginia class
But
operating.
when Trump gets back in, then he'll push back in the
Hopefully.
budgets.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
We'll see. All right, Ed.
Yes.
Drum roll.
Yes.
That's my sound effects because he doesn't
I
work
need
for
to
me.
get a drum roll.
I've
on here.
asked you several times to get a drum roll and you don't respond. If you had to pick, you had to do one.
Yep.
Firefighter, police, or army. Now let's just hang on a minute. Let's look at his eyes. I reckon he'd go for police.
Yeah, I was going to say the police as well.
He is a control freak. I can see that as a control freak. All right, tell me, what would you go? To be honest.
Okay, well, if ambulance was a choice, I'd be paramedic. But it's not.
I didn't say ambulance.
So,
okay, I
guess,
said
look,
one of those.
it probably does. Police.
I scored 2 out of 2.
There
If you
we go.
count my choice, then I scored 3 because I knew what I was going to say. But the fact of the matter is, I knew it. Yeah. So why police?
Well, because I can't be paramedic.
Okay.
Because
why police? I can't accept that.
Police
Over firefighter and over army.
He just wants the badge.
Look, no, I just don't want
And
to.
the
It's your authority thing.
Look,
It's your authority thing.
I don't want to run into a burning building. I don't want to die in the Middle East for petrol. And at least with police, I'd be able to hopefully help people.
So what, the army and the firefighters don't help people?
Well, no, I'm too afraid to run into. I'll say I'm too afraid to run into a burning building. I'll say that. And I don't want to die in the Middle East for petrol.
Yeah, well, for oil.
For oil.
Petroleum. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Peter, why would you pick the Australian Defence Force over the police and firefighters?
I think just the army sort of has appeal that I like. The outback, sort of out in the bush.
Okay.
Yeah, roughing it.
All right.
Those sort of things.
So, Sean, why did you pick the firefighters? I think they are the less threatening of the lot. Okay, they're strong, but they don't need a gun.
Yeah.
They have power, but they don't need to enforce
They got
it.
axes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's for the house. It's not for you. Okay, so it comes in there. So, anyhow, that's just me. So, it all works in there.
Yeah.
So, Peter, your story is a wonderful testimony about what you've endured. You know what I mean? With your arm. I mean, you're supposed to have had surgery a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But it was postponed for another month or so. And that was to remove the arm around the elbow, above the elbow.
Yep.
Okay. So, and how many years has it been since that accident?
8 years, or coming up to 8 years in April.
So, how are you doing? How's it affected you? How have you had to recondition your thinking? How's it improved? How's it not improved? Just tell me, what was it? Because people go through hard things. It's like the guy complained he had no shoes, so he met the guy with no feet, okay? So in your context, it was the no feet, no arm, okay? So you've endured far more and are enduring far more than the average person who complains. But it's always the average person who seems to be the whinger ninja, okay? Rather than the person who's gone through the major area that endures. How is it that you're so strong mentally and spiritually? How is that? Why is that so?
Okay, so I mean, it's been an 8-year journey to get to this point.
How many surgeries?
This is coming up to be the 4th.
4th. Wow.
And I opted out of one of them.
Yeah.
I chose deliberately not to go down a certain direction. I suppose at the beginning a lot of it was based on my foundations.
Yeah.
All the time that I spent reading, praying, serving, being a part of the church, that really gave me the foundation for it. I mean, that's not to say that I didn't have my moments where I questioned.
Yeah.
And there was different things you go through, I suppose. Where's my faith? You question the reality of certain things. But I suppose at some point in time you have to get a revelation of the word. So my belief is God can heal me at any point in time, but that doesn't mean he always does heal people. And it's more important for me to get healing of my soul, if I put it that way, than over my body. The Bible refers to the fact that your body is temporary.
Yeah.
It's dust. It was made, from dust it'll go. But my soul is eternal. That's who I am.
Yeah.
So it's more important that I get the healing in my soul of who I am and find value in myself rather than look at what I've lost. I think it's a whole change of perspective of moving that, okay, I'm still me just because my arm doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that's changed is the fact that now I have to do everything with my left arm.
Yeah. Was that harder because you're naturally right-handed?
Yeah, I wasn't actually right-handed. I think that the challenge is so I was extremely independent. And so the challenge is acknowledging the fact that there's some things that I just simply cannot do anymore.
Yeah.
And then there's other things that I attempt to do, or some things I try and do, and I have to find a different way to do them. So I suppose the journey is to try and find your own self-worth and value in who you are rather than what you look like. So yeah, it was definitely a journey, and it was simply the foundation and building off that foundation, getting back into or staying in the Word. There's been moments of crying out to God, but also coming to a place of thanksgiving, because it could have been a lot worse. I could have
Died.
Yeah,
I could have died,
Yeah.
or I could have been in a wheelchair from my neck down.
Yes.
Yeah,
That was a high percent of that. So I'm alive. And realistically, I've only lost my right arm. And I suppose, getting the perspective of seeing other people's journeys. So, I was watching on the other day, there was a church that got a young fella, I call him young fella because they're younger than me. He was in a wheelchair, obviously had major disabilities, and they got him to sing a song. And you sit there and look at it, it's like, God can heal him and change all that, but sometimes there's more purpose in the no than there is in the yes.
Yes.
So I sit there and it's like, sometimes I have to change my perspective, because, I don't know, I got to the point where it almost seemed unfair if I got my healing and they didn't.
Oh, that's a heavy statement.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
My son has type 1 diabetes, and I sometimes laugh because I come to the point of, perhaps God allowed me to go through this in order so I could be there and encourage my son, because we have a connection, not just because he's my son, but because we both have things, in a sense of disability.
Unfairness of it.
Yeah, and the unfairness of it. So I have to keep coming back to the fact that, God is in control.
Yeah.
He's on the throne. He can heal in a moment's notice. Nothing's too difficult for him. And so if he hasn't, then there's got to be purpose in it.
Yeah, I mean, that's profound, and it's very moving. I mean, like, I think of 6.5 years of crying out to God to heal my wife because we didn't have children. She was barren, and then, it happened supernaturally in America. And I think of the 6.5 years of our emotional turmoil of not seeing it, but came through. But then it's being in that place where you say, okay, God, you're in control. I mean, we had to come to that point ourselves.
Yeah.
So it is a very real statement, a very real truth. And then I think of Stephen Lobb, who lost both legs, and he has the prosthetic legs and everything else. And, he's training to go into the next Olympics.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Whether he gets in or not, I don't know, but he's in a kayaking. So he's trying out that area there. So I know he's trying the Special Olympics. So I know he's
that's cool.
trying to work on that area. So which will be quite interesting. Well, especially I think, well, not the one in Paris coming up, but the next one. You know what I'm saying? I didn't mean this one in Paris, but the one coming up, which will be here in Brisbane, I think.
I think the Paralympics are awesome, and I think they should get more television than the normal ones.
But it's more entertaining.
Well, it is, because they got more of a disability, and the fact that they do things that normal people can do, and they do it, I mean, even a lot of those swimmers who, have one leg or whatever, they swim a lot faster than what I do, or even when I had 2 arms. So I think it's more entertaining and it's more worth, and I think that's what the Olympics should be about, more than the fact of able-bodied people. But
well, I still think that the most famous Special Olympian, although and in disaster of his behaviour, was that guy with the South Africa with the prosthetic legs.
Oh yeah.
And he had those sort of
The Blade Runner.
and the bounce on the area there. In fact, he said that his speeds was way up there because of those things. And I remember that was I mean, it's terrible what happened in his life and what he was charged for, but just in that whole area. But you're right, there are some special stories that should be that we should celebrate. In those areas, because it really is a thing. I mean, it's like I've noticed. You noticed today that there are more attention given, say, to female sports than ever before. Never before do I remember where female athletes are given the attention or respect, which is due. Okay, and, it's just amazing how many of them play men's sports. Like, I'm still not sold on women in rugby league or women in AFL. Women in cricket, maybe, okay. women in soccer, believe it or not, is okay. And so why would I feel comfortable with women in soccer, not as much as women in rugby league? I don't know. Maybe just because I've been conditioned that it's only been basically men playing, and I don't remember seeing women. Or maybe it's just the plain brutality. I've seen women in rugby league with a busted nose and paper stuffed up their nose and black eyes going like, I'll be okay for next week. And I'm going like, maybe it's just me stereotyping, you know what I mean? And speaking of the sports and the areas, the Australian captain of the Matildas, Sam Kerr, if you hadn't heard, was brought up on charges. I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? Or this week?
Yeah, for a certain slur she used to a UK police officer when she was, there was some drama with her with a taxi driver or something like that. Police got involved, and then she said...
and this was a year earlier this happened. So this is a year, but only came to court a year later.
Yeah.
And I think it's next year before it's heard,
February.
February.
Before it's in trial, February.
I mean, why? First of all, why did it take so long?
What's going on here?
Like if you've done the offence, why can't it be dealt with in a month or something?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't get that. It'll be like from the time it happened, it'll be 2 years, over 2 years.
Yeah.
Around about there. It's a long time.
Very long time.
But of course, she plays. Is it Leeds or someone in England? She plays with a club over in the United Kingdom. She's not the captain, but she's there. But I think the big concern was how it was kept secret until it went to court. So Australia Federation of Soccer didn't know about it, and even her club in the UK didn't know about it.
Oh wow!
And I understand she probably feels it's a private matter, but if you're a public person. It's like a leading public pastor from Australia who got busted on drink driving in Los Angeles or California. Can't keep it quiet. It's going to come out. You're a public figure.
That's right.
Which has benefits.
And disadvantages.
And you can't just claim the, keeping secret when you want to, but being public. And so the charge is because she was, a white police officer was involved. And the charge or the accusation is that she made a derogatory statement towards his ethnicity.
Yeah.
And I'm talking towards a white person.
Yeah.
I won't say the exact words because we're Christians here. But basically she said, what was the word?
Stupid white B word.
You stupid white B. Okay. Now, my first reaction when I heard that, the only way it's going to have power, and they say they have it recorded because they're aware of it. So that's what's going to be. So she said in her response, hey, this is what I understand her response. And if I'm wrong, Ed, would you correct me?
Yep.
It's not that she's denying she said that, but she's denying that it was meant to be derogative. Well, if you're the only white guy who's a police officer, it'll be hard not to say you meant it.
Yeah.
So you got to ask the question, why is a white English police officer so sensitive? I mean, I've been called worse things.
Yep.
What, you have too been called?
Yeah, I've been called pretty bad stuff. Yeah.
You've been called bad stuff?
Yeah, I've been bullying as a kid, and
is that right?
Even nowadays, pretty bad stuff.
Nowadays?
No, not right now. Not right now. But I know what you mean. Where it's like you've been called.
So when I said get yourself over here, you thought that was
that was racially charged.
Yeah, okay. I mean, you've been called worse names than that, Peter?
Oh, I suppose, yeah.
I've had a lot of people use other four-letter words to describe me. Yeah. So, and some of them are Christians. Okay. But the fact of the matter is that you got to ask, well, why would a white police officer want to charge somebody because she called him a
stupid white B
stupid white blah blah.
Yeah.
Right, like it wasn't a four-letter word, but
the big one.
But I think that it's a counter reaction to all of these reactions. Like let me set the scene. Okay. It was in the Tokyo Olympics. Can you put the picture up? It's Australia versus, I think, New Zealand. New Zealand chose to kneel. Yep. No, not that photo, buddy. Just take the story away from me. Any chance we can flow with the story? Okay, Australia versus New Zealand. Can we try and do that one? Okay.
Yep.
All right, so let's show the picture. Australia, New Zealand.
I need to get ready then. I have the wrong one.
All right. Can you try and set it up? So there's the scene.
Yep, I'll get ready.
See, and I didn't call him any names or anything there.
No.
Just like, can you get this ready?
sure,
Yeah.
Wait till we're off.
And it's not like we didn't practice. You know what I'm trying to say? It's not like we didn't preempt it. You know what I mean? So comes in there, but hopefully Ed's getting the picture where Australia is playing New Zealand, and the New Zealand players, the ladies, all choose to kneel, and the kneel is protesting the injustices towards minorities. Okay, and the Australian team didn't kneel. Okay, but then afterwards they chose to do a team photo. Just put that picture up then, Ed. Okay, a team photo with the Aboriginal flag. Now the Aboriginal flag is privately owned.
Oh, okay.
It's not like the Australian flag. It's privately owned. Okay, so it's a private company. So they chose to do a picture of the Aboriginal flag rather than kneel. Now, I don't have any offence with that personally. I mean, I have a pin with the Australian flag and Aboriginal flag that I will wear on certain days, okay, for the First Nations. It doesn't offend me. It might offend them, but it doesn't offend me, so I'll do that. But the whole idea here was a protest. It was as a protest. So Sam Kerr's ethnicity, he's Australian, but her mother is of India descent, father's English, okay? So the whole thing here is coming back now to where, say, the white person is like, well, if the rule is good enough for you, this is the picture here, yeah? So this was when they were playing New Zealand and Tokyo Olympics, it was there, and New Zealanders chose to bow the knee, but the Australians didn't. Because they weren't going to do that. But instead, they did the flag image, okay? I mean, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't offend me if you bow your knee or not, because my king is Jesus, so
Yeah.
you don't want to do it. I mean, I got people who tear my Bible up, so why am I going to be worried you burn my flag? You know what I'm trying to say? So, like, get over it. It is, you are who you are, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if you feel that way, but, like, really, you're not going to make me lose any sleep, you know what I'm trying to say? But the fact of the matter is what they call the inconsistency if it happened, meaning you talk about the injustices towards a certain people group, but what about your reactions towards another people group? Or is it because you are white, you just got to suck it up because you're part of the problem, or you are the problem of colonialism? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there because people say, why is it such a thing? And that's why. So is that why a white police officer in UK has carried on?
I suppose for what I understand is what's going on, I suppose the fact that he's white, the fact that he's male, goes sort of against him. I mean, the pushback for white male, what they're calling it, white male privilege.
Yeah, white privilege.
And over 50.
Well, yeah, sort of what fuels a lot of this. I think it's sort of...
I mean, without a doubt, the white culture has caused a lot of problems.
Right.
And I don't think, if you're honest, anyone can deny it. The slave trades, all the areas. But there's so many good things like Wilberforce and Abraham Lincoln and others look to stop such things, right? And injustices that Australia did in colonialism.
Yep.
I mean, without a doubt, they did bad and barbaric things. And anybody of a sound mind knows it. But does it become right then to say you can't do it towards one people group, but you can do it towards the other group because you were the marginalized before? Like, do we not say, hey, hang on a minute, it goes both? Like, Sam, isn't your dad a white fella? You know what I mean? So all I'm saying is it's the area. So, I mean, how I feel about Sam Kerr or not as a sports person doesn't change, right? And she and I are about as far apart you could be in regards to beliefs and values.
Right.
And as a player, I fully respect her as a player. But does that now discredit her from being the Australian captain? Because it is about behaviour. It's tough. So, for example, we all know that Shane Warne always wanted to be Australian captain but could never be because of his sexting, we call it. And we all know that there's other cricket captains who lost their position because of questionable actions on the field.
Right.
So we're not saying that she's no longer qualified as a player, But what the question is, does she now get disqualified from being the Australian Matilda captain? And, this is all part of the whole area. So I'm not in that position to judge.
Yeah.
If you were in that position, Peter, if you were in charge of the Australian soccer or female, I don't know who runs it, or if it's under one umbrella, would you be feeling to remove her as the captain of the Australian team or keep her?
I think you have to, like you said, those situations that have been mentioned before. I think you have to keep some sort of or some sort of standard throughout all sports leadership. So if she has said it, then I think it should be stepped down. I don't think it's any better or worse than what's happened with the cricket.
We're not
stars.
saying not play,
right?
But being the captain.
Yeah, I think there has to be a standard. I think it has to be a standard that we hold to in a lot of things, in our politics, as well as sports stars, as well as in other areas that are come up. So for me, I don't have a problem with her playing, but probably a good idea to step her down as captain. She has
obviously, I don't know. But obviously on the time, there's probably drinking involved, club and everything else.
Well, it seems to be always involved, doesn't it? So.
I mean, the old vice that alcohol is okay. How many people have lost their positions and titles, and especially preachers?
Right. Lost their positions, titles, done silly
Stuffed
things,
up,
fallen short.
And yet these people, especially Christians, say, we can handle it, it's okay. Right. And they'll say to me, oh, you're too extreme. But... I remember when the church, Peter, and we were together during that time, not this church, but others around us, were bringing in alcohol's okay.
Yep.
And we'd say there's going to be repercussions.
Right.
And you'd see parishioners getting drunk. Then you'd see the odd pastor of Pentecostal movements get caught for drink driving. Then we see a head of a very large movement get caught up into it, not just in the drink driving, but in some other questionable acts where alcohol was involved with other things. And you've got to say... Really?
Right.
You really think you've got it under control?
Right. I mean, my sort of view on it, is, we're supposed to be the light of the world.
Yeah.
We're God's ambassadors. We're supposed to have a witness. And I think too often, alcohol becomes one of those questionable things. If a person who is unsaved can't tell the difference between someone who's saved and unsaved, then we have an issue.
Yeah. I mean, I think of even Mel Gibson.
Right.
He did was it Passion of the Cross?
Right.
Yeah. And all the Christians were telling, rah, 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 although he's very deep Catholic, okay, especially the extreme Latin areas, okay. And then he went on that drunken rage. Remember that? Where anti-Semitic statements and just went crazy, was arrested. Alcohol fueled.
Right.
And some people said, well, this is the real him coming out. I personally don't necessarily think it's the real them. I don't believe what Sam Kerr did was necessarily the real her, but I think what happens when alcohol fuels you, you lose boundary lines, you get overconfident, you get cocky, blasé, and that's why it's so dangerous.
Right.
And how many people have lost position, have lost respect because of alcoholic confused? And like you and I have said, the church is the one. We're meant to look different from this world, but we want to look like the world.
Right.
So, Ed, let me ask you, if you were in the position where you had to decide Sam Kerr would remain as Australian, not playing, we know she'd play, but remain as captain of the Matildas, would you feel she has to step down, proven guilty, or would you feel, because right now the grounds are you never informed us, and it looks like she's not denying it happened, it looks like, but rather it's misunderstood, she's looking for lesser charge. So would it be something you say that your conduct or behaviour is unbecoming of the captain, or you say, hey, give her a break? What would you feel?
I guess any publicity is good publicity, right? Right? That's the normal way we do it. And you look, a lot of people have been searching again for the Matildas, and so that's always a positive thing.
Well, we did, didn't we?
We did. Yeah. But I guess one question to ask is, if she hid this, what else is she hidden?
Oh, you're going deep. And that's
probably,
you're too deep for me.
Not that saying that she is guilty, because it's for the courts, whatever. But look, if it's getting a bit hot, a bit controversial, I don't know if we want this person to be leading our Australian soccer team.
So, do you want to ask me the question,
Shaun? If you were in the position to decide whether or not she should be the captain of the Matildas, what would you do?
I'll be a little controversial.
Yeah?
I would think that if the feeling of the majority is, fine her, correct her, but the people are in favor of keeping her, I'd probably keep her. But if I feel that her behavior has caused such a social uproar, then yes. So it really depends on how it affects the team and everything else. If the feeling is, we agree she's done wrong, we agree she should be fined, we agree she should be penalized, but we're still okay, then I would show grace on this occasion.
Yeah.
But if it seems like there's such a big uproar and injustice, it's not a matter of just giving into the crowd, but it'd be like, look, obviously you've caused too much damage, so you need to go. I mean, you might think it's a compromise, it's not meant to be, but that would be how I would view it. And I think that's how I'd view it on several cases in the areas, but how do we deal with things? And I don't know, maybe it's just I'm getting older and I feel I need more grace and I need to give more grace. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I
I just, yeah. I was tougher before, wasn't I?
Oh, just a little bit.
Okay, all right, let me just rephrase it then. I feel that as I get older,
You get softer.
yeah, I softer the word, or I just feel more grace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I'm right. So please let me get that right.
I get you. You're allowed to, you?
And I'm not saying I'm right, and I'm not saying it's a flow. But if the majority is saying we're really offended by it, fine.
Yeah.
If the majority is look, we don't agree with it, then I go, okay, then let's bring in some sort of penalty.
Yeah,
I mean, I think what they did to the Australian captain was too hard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know it's different to you.
For the cricket?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I thought it was too hard. You know what I mean?
Cheating?
Okay, so he was, not him personally, but his bowlers doing it. I just feel like, A, it only went to two people, didn't go enough further down, or one bowler cop, there are others. B, I don't think it's unique to Australia.
No, I don't think it is, but they're the ones who got caught.
Yeah, they got caught or got pushed up, but we certainly know that other teams were also caught and fined on field for it, because South Africa had been caught before and others been caught, and they were penalised, but they weren't heavily sacked.
See, I have a completely different view.
And I respect that view.
I mean,
your view was the one that won.
I think it should be, because it's a privilege to play for Australia,
Yeah.
and to be a sport, not everyone gets to do it. And I think if you don't have the character to be in the team, then questions have to be asked. And for me, I think they're lucky they didn't get banned for life.
Yeah, again, I just think it was a bit tough. You know what I mean? But that's me. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I'm right.
Well,
okay?
look at Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong got banned for life after he got found.
Yes, but I see that. So to me, I mean, all sin isn't sin in some context. Okay. And not all sin has the same consequence. Like there is lying, then there's the white lie. They're all wrong, but they're not all the same consequence. Okay.
Well, taking sandpaper to a cricket ball is pretty serious, because you actually age the ball quicker.
I understand what happened, but it's not unique to them and other teams. So there's other teams have been caught. Okay, on field. Other teams have been caught.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the ICC bringing that down. That was the Australian cricket board doing it. So it was other teams like South Africa that were caught doing it, and they lost games with else, but they weren't put through like that. So it's to what I see the consistency. And no other team, and there have been other people since then who've been caught doing the sandpaper, and none of them have had it. So it was Australia's own venom on itself. That's why I see it. In regards to Lance Armstrong, I fully support he was banned for life, because this wasn't one-off. This was like for years.
But it's a common thing in the actual tour. Blood doping, doping beforehand.
I'm not disputing it. Yeah. And maybe if I was a bicycle rider, I might feel differently.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Okay? But because I'm not, I'll be frank with you, I hardly gave it even a look at. Except I know the name and I know what happened. And he's the only name I know in bicycle riding.
Yeah.
And so if Ed says there's no such thing as bad publicity, then great, then it's there. But
I don't even know what you guys are talking about. You guys decided to start talking about people.
Lance Armstrong, the doping.
Is that the guy? Is that
Tour
the
de
swimmer?
France?
Is that the swimmer?
He won the Tour de France I think 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
What's that?
So we're going to ignore Ed right now because there's certain moments when you say, "I love you, Ed," but I'm ignoring you. So this is one of those moments. But let's go back to pastors.
Yeah.
Okay. How severe are we on pastors? Okay, for their behavior. Like, what do we have on that area? Like, when is that pastor is a pastor who is caught in adultery, all right, banned for life, or banned for so many years, or banned from just not being a senior pastor but could be associate pastor?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I think at the end of the day, I mean, there has to be a period of time at the very least to be sat down.
Okay, so let's pick a number, 5 years. So let's say it's a 5 year sit down.
Okay.
All right. So, and I'm just using extreme, not for no reason, but extreme for 5 years. Okay. So, next question. Okay. After 5 years, what can they be reinstated to do or not?
Well, I mean, if you run off, which I don't think is run off very much, but First Timothy, where it talks about the conditions of an elder.
A good response. Yeah. Character, rapport,
character, and those
respect.
things. So I think
on that basis, it's forever.
Well, yeah, from a senior, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's come back to that one. So we're saying that if the senior pastor, and we know right now in Australia there's been a plague of these things.
Yep.
There's another one happening in Melbourne. There's another one happening in Tasmania that went to court. Not Tasmania, Sydney. Regrettably, these are all ACC pastors, okay? There is, of course, Brian's situation. Nobody's saying that he had any behavior outcoming, but he was in a room with a woman, you know what I mean? And he sent lewd text messages to a woman, obviously drink driving. So I'm just asking you, are they penalized just from being a senior pastor where they could come back on again as an associate pastor?
Yeah, I don't... So I haven't really thought too much about how they return. I do believe there needs to be, if there is a return to whatever position, there needs to be a period of proper restoration, going through the healing process at the very least. I haven't had a lot to do with that sort of topic besides seeing it around us.
So there was, back in my day as a youth pastor, is in the 80s, mid-80s, a leading pastor in Brisbane was caught out, top name, top guy, drew thousands, having not one, not two, not three, not four, but a large number of outside sexual relations of the marriage with women in the church or associate church, everything else, So the court once refused the correction of the peers but stayed on with the church, then caught again and was stepped down, This guy started 2 different churches, as senior pastor in the area. And what was called the APMF, which is different today to was then, was called the Australian Pentecostal Ministers Fellowship. And that was the heads of all the major movements would come together to come in agreement in the Pentecostal area that if someone is disciplined in their group, that you couldn't just carry them over to another group. So they all stood in unison, which still stands, I think, today. The guys, long after his ministry days, would not ordain him.
Oh, wow.
Even though he started his own church again, and he had relatively great success. So the question is, do we put him back in that position? So for me personally, for this pastor, and he sat in my church for a while, for 6 to 8 months before he went out to start another church, and then that fell into another church. I generally love the guy. And I generally acknowledge he has done great things for God. Would I trust being in his church as my covering? I'd say no. I couldn't sit under his covering. Doesn't mean I don't acknowledge he's done great things. Doesn't mean I don't acknowledge he's repented. Doesn't mean I don't acknowledge that. But to sit under that covering, I would find it hard because I'd be expecting my pastor to be of rapport, credibility.
Right.
So is that pastor worse than the other pastor who got caught out in the same city for not running finances correctly and doing other stuff area there? So do I feel as comfortable being under that person because of money? I mean, everybody judges it differently. But what I'm saying is that how do we live? See, it's one thing to judge a Sam Kerr or somebody else, but they're not Christians. And morally, they don't believe the same things I believe.
Right.
So let's put them aside.
Yep.
What about in our own house? Would you feel comfortable ever with a pastor who's a pedophile being a pastor again? I know I wouldn't.
No.
I would never allow a pastor or children who's a pedophile to ever be back in no matter how much they said God's forgiven them, that's great, but never to be in that position. So why would I want a senior pastor who's been unfaithful with other men's wives to be a senior pastor again when they could have authority over other men's wives indirectly? I'm just saying it out there. It can sound cruel and unconditional. I'm not saying you don't forgive and everything else, but to be put back in that place of authority.
Yeah.
And the Bible, the Apostle Paul does say that pray for your pastors, leadership, because if you are challenged, they are doubly challenged. They're held of a higher standard because of their position in Christ. I believe that's in regards to alcohol. I believe that's in regards to the opposite sex. I believe it's in regard to all the areas. We're held at a higher position. I'm just throwing it out there. Again, I'm not saying I'm right. And God forgive if I come across thinking I have all the answers. I'm not. I'm just being transparent in what I think.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to sit beside that pastor who's repented and has come back to the Lord and sitting beside me.
Yep.
But I don't think I would be happy to sit under them as a senior. It's like I can get on the bus with a blind man, but if that blind man is driving the bus, I'm getting off.
Yeah, I'm off.
It depends on how much adventure you want, I suppose,
Yeah,
isn't it?
not that much. I'm happy to be on the bus with a blind man, but if that blind man is driving the bus, I'm getting off. And that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Right? Because there has to be a higher call. There has to be a higher demand. In my opinion,
Yeah, I get you.
there has to be higher. But, you know, I thank God for his grace because when we call upon the Lord, there's forgiveness.
Right.
And I think it's another question if it happened before they were pastors.
Yes.
Like there's a sin before you were saved, and it's a sin after you're saved.
Yeah.
Because the Bible also tells us that it's better you'd never known the Lord than to have known the Lord, walked away from the Lord. You know what I mean? So like if the guy was an adulterer before he got saved and was now saved as a pastor, I could sit under them under grace.
Yep.
But after the fact, having the knowledge and preaching it, then I have the problem.
Yeah.
You know, food for thought though, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
this weekend, this Sunday, what are you doing?
We have church.
But what's happening? What are you
Amazing.
preaching on? What you doing?
Oh,
Are
so
you
I'm just
preaching?
about to start a new series called Great Cloud.
Great
Based
cloud.
off Hebrews 12, Great Cloud of Witnesses.
Yes. Hebrews
So
12:1.
we're in our theme for this year is faith.
Yeah.
I mean, I have desires to get into our own building or at least
Amen.
sign leases for this year.
Amen.
So we need people, obviously, in the church to develop their faith and to move in those things, as well as developing my own faith. So, so this is a new series that I'm doing called Great Cloud, and we're looking at Noah.
Yeah.
So we go through. It's a 6-part series. So, just looking at a few characters through the Bible. I find if my series are too long, people get too bored. So I have to change it up too much.
Oh,
Take some notes, Sean.
My series goes.
Yeah, I know. Putting up to 20 parts.
Yeah. So I think it was
When I
part 16.
finish, it'll be 16.
Yeah.
16.
But what I don't do, I don't push the overall heading. I did like this last week. I just used the word obedience.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I didn't push the overall heading, but I just pushed obedience.
Yeah.
I had a huge response, especially online, in that area. So it came in.
Yeah.
It's just a matter how you relay the message.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, that's exciting. Okay. For us, this weekend, we have Sandra, my friend's Doug and Lisa Stringer. They're here already. They arrived on Monday. They're at the Sunshine Coast meeting with people. So they arrived down here on Friday. So we're doing something unique, aren't we, Ed, for our breakfasts?
Yes, we're having a combined men's and women's breakfast.
No, it is not combined.
Sorry. It's we're having it on the same day, different times.
It's staggered.
Yeah, different times.
So at 7 a.m. for 1 hour is the men's breakfast with Doug Stringer.
Yep.
Then at 8:15, so the goal is that we finish by 8 and the women don't come in to set up until 8, so they got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Then we have Lisa Stringer who is singing. Lisa Stringer who is speaking.
Yes.
Which is great. Then on Sunday, in our morning services at 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m., Doug Stringer is sharing.
Yep.
They're from Houston, Texas. That's where I met them. And then at 5 p.m., Lisa is sharing. Now, I think they've been married for a decade, but I've never met her. So I've talked to her on the phone, but never met her. She has an interesting story. She used to have her own
music producing
for a lot of the top people. And so she had platinum album and everything else, not by her singing, but by doing stuff. So, and she left it all, thank God. Wow. And Doug Stringer, I told you how I met Doug Stringer, didn't I?
Oh, you just said in Texas. That's all you said. How did you meet him?
Yeah, well, I was only just went over there. I took a new position as a youth pastor in Houston, Texas, called Evangelistic Temple. And what happened, I was only being there for a couple of weeks. It was in, what year is it? June of 1989. Only a couple of weeks. And we'd had him in the church, and we'd go out to, have a snack or meal. Don't do it anymore. Too much weight. Okay. And I think it was Bennigan's on 290. I don't think it's there anymore, but it's Bennigan. You wouldn't mean anything to you, but it's a particular highway. And they had a split floor. You had to sit on the floor, then 3 steps, you had another floor. And I was sitting there with our group from the church, Evangelistic Temple, and this person, Doug, who I didn't know, was up the top with somebody else. And I made eye contact with him, and he made eye contact with me. And have you looked at somebody and go like, do I know that guy? And do I know this person? And I said to Sandra, do I know that guy? She said, no, you don't know him. And I said, are you sure? She looked around and said, no, you do not know him. I feel like I know him. So I got up. She says, where are you going? I said, I really feel like I know him. So I got up, walked over, and he looked at me, and I said, I'm sorry. I got up. I said, but do I know you? And he goes, it's amazing. I feel like I know you, but I don't know you. And that's how I met Doug.
Wow.
Okay. He's a pastor. I was a pastor. That's how it happened. You'll hear this story when we're going on here. That's how it happened back then. Isn't it amazing?
Incredible.
That's a Shaunism, isn't it?
That's a Shaun. Only Shaun could do that.
It's just the weirdest thing. I mean, I've known him for over 33 years because it was before Josiah was born. So it came in. So we pray blessings over you, Peter, over Mel and your fivefold ministry, which we think is fantastic.
The crowd loves you.
Oh, man.
Back to Shaun.
Good thing it's only a button.
No, there's real crickets in here. There's real crickets.
He went to Pet Barn and he bought the plastic container of live crickets.
Yeah.
And so he flicks the box and gets them to do that noise.
I put it in Sarah's aircon. No, I didn't do that.
We're looking forward to seeing you this weekend.
Yes.
Those in the area of Bilbao to be with Pastor Pete as he ministers the word of God on the cloud.
Yes.
And we will be over here with our American friends, Pastor Doug and Lisa Stringer. Looking forward to Saturday flowing into our Sunday. The Lord bless you and keep you in Jesus' name.
See you, everyone. See you next week.